Sometimes I feel like something's missing. And I ask myself, am I doing enough? Am I taking what God has given me and using it for His glory? Am I choosing purpose over fear? Change can be so hard, especially for someone like me, who's lived in fear since 2 weeks before my 10th birthday. I'd like to tell you that at the age of 35, I've conquered my fears and chosen purpose. And while in some ways I have, in this one thing, I've been running. Some would call it self-preservation, but eventually, all things preserved must be put to good use. After all, what good is a seed that's never been planted? A treasure that's never found? Or a light that's never used? Change can be so hard, especially for someone like me, who's lived with fear, doubt, and uncertainty since my daddy died 2 weeks before my 10th birthday. You see, up until that moment, skin and knees seemed like the pinnacle of pain in my tiny little world. Before the pain and fear of loss wrapped its cruel little claws around my tiny little heart and squeezed, I was a happy little yellow-haired girl, as my grandpa used to call me. Yet even after my father's passing, I praised God, and I remember that. I began to sing my way through the uncertainty of life and found comfort in this blooming talent that I had. I turned heads and I received praise, until one day I didn't. And you see, I think that's what the enemy wants. He waits for that one day, and he tries to steal it all. And it took one spiteful aunt to tell me I wasn't good enough, and that her daughter was better. Just one spiteful person, and self-doubt took root in my little mind. I never quit singing fully. I couldn't. It was a part of my identity, and in some ways a necessary means to survival. There's nothing quite like the healing power of music for a broken heart. But as a child who loved to dance, sing, draw, craft, and write, I'd felt my first firm bout of rejection hard. As a grieving child, it shattered something inside my tiny little heart and mind. That tiny little yellow-haired girl took to singing in the shower, in her bedroom, and only ever around a handful of people that she trusted. The mind is a powerful thing, and yet sometimes fragile. I used to tell myself, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Who came up with that lie? I mean, sure, it sounds brave and tough. It gets you through the moment like a soiled bandage that will later fester if not cleaned. What does remain true, however, is that people have the power to speak life and death from their lips. It's biblical. And oh, how I wish they knew its power. That we knew the power of words that come from our lips. Even today, each time I try to sing where others might hear, those deep-rooted words of rejection choke the talent right out of my throat. I physically can't blow my pipes like a shofar because of some silly comment made to me as a grieving child, at least not in the presence of most people. I only recognize this pivotal core moment as the root cause of such stage fright a few years ago as I was forcing my way, begrudgingly, through the dark places of my mind on a healing journey after years of domestic abuse. Why could I attend cheerleading competitions and perform a fancy dance routine on a stage and yet not squeak out a tune from my lips if I perceived the uncharted dangers of leaving myself vulnerable in front of a new people? Because someone long ago succeeded in choking that gift out of me. And so for years, I have wrapped it up and set it aside, except when my mind deems it safe. And I hate it. It's been roughly 25 years from that point in my life, and many years of trials and trauma in between have pushed me further into a hermit hole. I spent my teenage years and the first 2 years of my 20s in a toxic, traumatic 7-year relationship that left me empty, hollow, and afraid to trust just about anyone. At 17, I was a teen mom of one precious little boy. By 20, I was the mother of a wonderful daughter who I didn't realize would someday soak in all my insecurities like a sponge. In the midst of what I call my hell on earth, I cleaved to God and He carried me through the storms. Just when I thought the deep waters would swallow me whole, I took a leap of faith and He saved me from my torment. Still, somewhere along the way, I'd lost some of the best parts of myself. I'd been broken just enough that I had nothing left in me to give. And the idea of giving it, even if I did, felt terrifying. Why share parts of myself with others at the risk of them tearing me down? When your body is used against you as a tool of shame, it no longer desires to dance. When the trauma and words of your enemies echo louder in the back of your mind than the promises God intended for your life, they usurp your purpose. Steal the very things that make you who He created you to be. And so, my hands quit drawing, my lips quit singing, and writing was, well, let's just say I didn't write to inspire others or even myself. I wrote to leave a trail of truth for those who might find my story if I should end up dead someday. It's odd, really, to sit here and think of myself as a woman ensnared by a life of trauma that has chased me into my adult life. But here I am, at 35, realizing I've been running, living my life in a trauma loop that tells me I'm not good enough. Wondering why Jehovah keeps calling me to do bigger things when I'm so content to hermit my way through life unseen. Boy, does He have a way of forcing you outside of your comfort zone. For now, I want to be honest with myself and with all of you. I've still not conquered my fears and achieved some of my greatest goals. And while I am happy in life, I'm not fully fulfilled. I've not done the things I wanted to do or written the books I wanted to write. My gifts and talents have never been used to their full potential. I can't even tell you what my full potential is. I've let this troubled world sabotage every hope and dream I have ever aspired to reach. And that's a problem. And I know I'm not the only one. I know many of you have felt it at some point in your life. Maybe even now you look at yourself and you know deep down you're cheating yourself, God, and the world. You're not taking the core things that make you a unique child of God and using those things for the glory of His kingdom. You're holding back, gatekeeping what God has called good and hiding your light. Afraid if you let it shine, someone might come along and douse it in water. What I'd like us all to know, though, is that there is no amount of water that can snuff out the fire God has set within our lamps. But I promise you this, God can use that water to grow something beautiful.